again with Bill's never-ending projects. Starting on the 620. I said I was going to take these brackets off. They're just in the way. I don't need no front-end loader. I don't have one that fits it. So, and the tractor don't run. So, I reached on the inside, and they feel like carriage bolts. They're kind of rounded off. I'm going to have to. It would have been 15/16. But I'm going to have to use a die grinder and well, if I had a torch, I could just do that, but I don't. I'll have to use a die grinder and cut through all 4 nuts because they use the same thing for each one. And then when I get them out of there, we can look on the back side and see what they were. Bring you back when I'm done. Okay, as you can see, I ground away that one. Which one am I on? Yeah, I ground away that one. And that one. And the other 2 look about the same. So now I'm going to get the chisel gun. I'll spare you all that noise. I'm going to try to split the nut with the chisel gun with only one side being loose. Nope, even like with the torch, you got to torch them on both sides to split it. Not so much all the way through on the second side, but you got to make it weak. So I'm going to have to grind the second side, because here's what it looked like just trying to do it on one side after 5 minutes of chiseling. Still holding, so. Okay, I've weakened the back side of the nut. Let's see what will happen now. Sure, it's got a torch, but then I don't think it'd be safe to torch in here. This is connected to my house. Otherwise, I would have used the stick welder on 220. That's the other problem. My big air compressor that runs up to 150 isn't working. I got maybe 100 pounds at the most. Look at that. It's split. Now to do the same thing with that one and the other 3. I'll be back. There we go. The Domo brackets are off of there. From a loader I don't have and would never, probably find another use for those. So they're out of the way. Didn't think it'd be all that. Turned out the inside did have a normal bolt, to put a wrench on, but it was only, you could only feel like an 1/8 inch of it. I couldn't get a wrench on it, so. I don't know why. The thing must curve in there or something. Oh. There is another strip running alongside of it. I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't get a wrench on. They weren't carriage bolts, but now they're gone. A lot of work later, they're gone. But next thing, take the hood off. Looks like that intake pipe has to come off first, so that's what I'll do. Yeah, I just found out the steering shaft goes through the hood, and the oil bath air cleaner's missing. I found out, and this bolt's missing from the grill. This bolt is missing. That's right. I remember having to buy a radiator cap to make sure no rainwater got in there to freeze. So that didn't even come with it. So yeah, I can see these 4 bolts will have to come out. I see there's a gusset here for the gas tank, but the hood's not split. It goes through the steering wheel, so to see how to do that, I think I'm going to have to take the grill off, or else go on and watch a video, or look in my John Deere book. I'm going to do one of the 3. Good morning. It's a new day, and I was stumped on how to take off the hood, but I knew if I took the grill off, I could figure it out because the steering rod is going through it. But I happened to quit, and then while I was in there, I looked at a YouTube channel called Locust Motor Works, and he's tearing apart a 70 John Deere, and I found out that the steering rod, you take the steering wheel off, and you take off the cover in front that's and the gears that I think the gears will come out with it. I got to pull the steering rod out from the front. And I've never been able to get a steering wheel off an old tractor. Never. Possibly because I don't own a torch. I'm gonna have to today. So back to work on it, getting the grill off and the hood, and then going up front and seeing what I can do with the steering wheel. So far, to take off the hood, this bolt was missing. They have one up here. It's missing. Got to take off the radiator cap, and on the other side, the bottom bolt's missing. The top bolt's missing. Yeah, the bottom bolt's missing. Top bolt's missing. So there are no bolts holding it on. I guess I'll have to get all new ones. And if that's the case, then I should be able to just move it. Oh, it moved. Well, I'll get it off there, off camera. Well, I guess I could take it off right now. There's the power steering. I would say that's the power steering unit. I'm just seeing this stuff for the first time. There's a belt going down over here. Nothing to do with the power steering. I thought maybe it had something to do with turning the... Well, I'll see how it works with the book, since I bought the book. Now to get the steering wheel, now to I don't know what it is you take apart here, but it's something so that I can bring out the steering rod. So I'll figure that out off camera. That was for a John Deere 60 or 70. Back on the subject of seeing this cylinder for the first time for the power steering. I don't know why I was looking for something to turn it. It's not a pump, it's a cylinder then. And cylinders, just like on a plow, to lift it up and down, have lines coming and going from it. And here they are, right here. So that must be how it works. And then when I take the hood off, there's bound to be a pump somewhere. That's my best guess. We'll see. We'll see what the answer is once the hood's off. Okay, let's get the air cleaner off. Oil bath air cleaner. Couple up. My magnet. The lock on it. Timber. Hopefully they don't fall when I look down at the ground. Okay. Another thing out of the way. Hood bolts in the back must overlap the grill because it's the same bolts and they were missing, so those were out. But the ones in the front are not 3/8 like the back that use 9/16. These are 5/16, and they use a 1/2 inch, and you got to use a combination wrench on the inside to hold it, and then a 1/2 inch socket and a ratchet. That'll get those off, but on the other side, the headlight's missing. So, but this side, the headlight's there. So you can see with the headlight, I don't know, you can't use your impact. Guess that's what I'm getting at. You can't use your impact, you're gonna have to use the ratchet again. And hold it with the 1/2 inch wrench. Seemed to be easier to get the wrench inside there than the other one. It's rusty. This one. I didn't even notice it. I don't know if it's missing on the other side. Oh, the rust come out of that. Oh. hood bolt with some kind of special shoulder-like bolt. So that's not just a washer. I don't know, it's something special John Deere's got going there. So we'll see if we got one of these special ones on the other side. Glad that front top bolt of the hood, or the rear top bolt from the hood there wasn't missing. I would have never known it was a special one. I don't think I could have seen that in the parts book. Yeah, so much for the special bolt on the other side. It snapped off. I'll have to go to the vise and put this in the vise and knock it out of there with a hammer and a punch. Okay, after the thing snapped off, it's so tight in there, even though it's just skinny little sheet metal, it's froze. I can't lift up on it either side. It's almost like there's another bolt halfway up. It's so darn tight because it's froze. So if I had more room here, I could put a 2x4 in there and pound up on it from the inside. But there's no room. Maybe I can try lifting up that once the steering wheel's out of there, and maybe that will loosen it up on this end. So time to monkey with the steering wheel. Maybe if that's the way the hood comes off, maybe the steering wheel has been off every now and then, except it hasn't even been touched for 20 years. So then it'd be at least 5 or 10 years before that maybe the steering wheel was off, if ever. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, steering wheel job up next. Okay, there's the goofy bar I got through the steering wheel. It's got these little ends on it. This one isn't doing nothing. I made this up at one point when I was trying to loosen the flywheel. It's a long square tube, but the thing is, I happen to have that piece on top going through the steering wheel. That's what's stopping it, and then it pushed against the frame down there, and so with that like that, I didn't know that it would work, but just a couple minutes earlier, before I got the camera on it, it seemed to make that creaking noise like it's breaking loose. Let's see if it is. Pretty sure I already got it broke loose. Yeah, it's just not creaking anymore. Let me see if I can switch to a ratchet. This seems to be a 1-inch socket. Yeah, I can use a regular ratchet. Okay, well, at least I got some use out of that. I was going to cut this thing apart because it doesn't work good for trying to break an engine loose. Well, it sort of worked. Here's the goofy little end cap. And some big washer on there that says power steering. Now for the tough part. Trying to get the wheel off when there's no play and it's metal to metal. I don't think it's press fitted, but it's metal to metal, and that's where it always rusts. And it would be about a solid inch of metal. I guess I could try beating on it with a couple hammers just to see how, a couple size hammers to see how tight it is. And then maybe I can try to figure out a puller thing and heating it with my little map gas torch. I don't think it's coming. So plan B, try to cut a plate to go around the steering wheel rod so my puller could hook to it. What the heck? Got this piece laying around. So might as well try something like that. I could put it in there normal, but the blade's about ready to throw away for size. About a 1/2 inch thick plate. I'm just trying to eyeball it without using a tape measure. So if the slot isn't wide enough, I don't think I could make a skinny cut alongside of it. And I think I could break that piece out of there. I just missed a little bit on the bottom. This one I wanted to come out even with the hole. One side's too far over and the other side's too far over, but good enough to pull against. I'll just knock that out of there and go up there and try it. Hopefully it fits over the shaft. So now I just gotta take a little of that. Take a little of that where it's too far over. Seems to be that 7/8 hole, or whatever size it is, isn't, well, it won't go around the rod. Probably because I missed on this side, so I'll just take a little of that off there, and then it should be okay. Okay, there's my plate up on the tractor, on the steering wheel thing. I mean, this could all be a waste of time, but the puller, when it was going way in on that center thing, was just too big of a slant. And they just keep slipping off, so I'm making something where they could just go straight instead of slant. Now I'll go see if that works. Well, in theory, there it is, tightened up. The jaws did stick to the plate. And, but I'll bet I would have to weld the bottom two on there and make it a permanent steering wheel puller, which I'm willing to do. I could weld the bottom too. And even if I tacked it, I guess you could grind it off. Because I could just tack those there and leave this one off. The one that seems to be on the best, it's fully seated. And then I still have to heat that up and then quench it. See if I can break any rust loose. Because until I do that, even it would just, there would be so much force on it. I got to heat it up and quench it. So now I'm going to try that. Here's my fire, my heating up process. Yeah, I happened to get it to stick so it would stay there without putting a clamp on it. There's the bottle. But I'll leave that heat up for another 5 minutes and then I'll quench it. And I'll try the puller. Okay, I quenched it. And it sizzled and hopefully broke the rust. And I've let it cool for a little bit so I don't get burnt on anything that didn't cool. I only put about a pint of water on it. Now I'm going to go up and crank on the... Sometimes you have to quench these things twice, especially since I'm not using a real torch, but now hopefully the whole wheel won't start turning, which it will. Then I can't use both hands on the ratchet. I gotta keep watching to see how these bottom ones are. The top one's never gonna slip. It's got gravity on, it's all the way on that job. But the bottom two are about 2/3 on. And hanging in there. Okay, she's tightened it. I've tightened it all I can do. So if I want to do it more, I'm going to have to put a bar through there like I did with getting the nut loose, and I'm going to have to switch to the breaker bar. And then after that, I'll have to do breaker bar with cheater handle. Then after that, I would just have to heat it up again. Yeah, all these rods, this one just hit my breaker bar. It's got to be something to do with the hydraulic going up and down. I don't even know what all this stuff does yet. I know there's some kind of a, down here by this headlight, on the left side, there's a little flip back and forth thing. I think that turns on the live hydraulic, maybe. Needs to probably adjust the live hydraulic. This is supposed to have live PTO. I think that's something they built in. Everyone got it without ordering it. Okay, well, this is going nowhere, so it's really tight. And if I wrap on the back, I'll probably just knock the clamps off, but I guess I could tighten it a little tighter and wrap on the back. Oh, it's plenty tight. I don't see how it could be bending this half-inch plate. Huh, that's tight. It's now the point where I have to put a cheater bar on there. And I don't know at what point this strips off, but my plate worked. I got it super tight and the jaws did not slip. But it's also not breaking loose. So I have to heat again. I got the torch on it again, you might be able to hear it. After this, if I quench it for the second time, I mean, before I quench it, if the heat's doing any good, I could try to see if I give it a couple turns, but then if the heat's not doing any good, then I'll quench it because that's the reason I'm heating it, to jar that rust loose. But if that don't work, I guess I'll have to take all this off and I'll have to take the Sawzall with a metal blade and I'll have to split it, put a cut in it, which would loosen it up, and maybe I could weld it back. What I'm doing is wrapping it with the chisel gun. I'm wrapping it with the chisel gun with a flat bit, and I'm wrapping it in the back on the plate, and then I'm also wrapping it in the center, and then I give it a couple turns, and it actually goes. So maybe I'm getting somewhere. It's loose. I can quit hammering it, switch to the ratchet. I think I did it. Finally. After quenching it twice, wrapping it with the chisel gun on the backside and on the inch solid steel in 3 spots in between each rib. I think that's what did it. Now I don't know how this is. Yeah, good thing I didn't weld it. Good old plate. Steering wheel. All right. Oh, there's a little keyway on there. And see what it is, man. It's a tapered shaft. And yeah, it's rusty. But I didn't wreck anything. I'm sure when I hammered back on it, it didn't do the gears up front any, but I didn't do that long. Probably don't do that. Unless you just put your wheel back on and you had it greased. All right, now to the up front part. So here's a close-up of the end of the shaft. It could be that the threads only go up that little bit, and the tapered part seems to end right here. So yeah, it's got rust all over it, and maybe I did break a bond from heating it up and quenching it twice, but since this is tapered, I should have tried using the chisel gun on the backside right away. It's just that my air compressor, I'm only using that little bitty air compressor over there in the corner. The big one way over there, the starter the starter capacitors or something got a problem. So when I don't have the big 150 pounds of pressure and the big 3/8 hose like I used to have 20 years ago, or 40 years ago when I had a little shop, that one with only 110 pounds and that little bitty 1/4-inch hose just don't do much. But after heating it up and stuff and having that puller pulling, that's right, I had that puller on there pulling for all I could pull. It was like I was gonna have to put a cheater bar on the breaker bar on the breaker bar. So yeah, that thing was really tight. So I guess, what am I thinking? That thing was really tight, and so anything I did, I think, helped to get it off. But now we're past it, so let's go on. I did wire brush and paint up the steering wheel. It says what does that say? 557. I'll go up in the daylight more. It said 657. I just figured out why the hood wouldn't budge, at least back here. This sheet metal, I mean, this is probably obvious to John Deere people, but this sheet metal is hooked to this. It's welded, spot welded probably to this piece of metal that goes up. I think it ends right up here. It's a little channel. And guess what? That little channel has a bolt, so everything's not through the sheet metal like there. It seems to be this bolt here is probably just for the grill to bolt to. So this one holds the hood, and there's probably one on the other side, and then I got to look for something like that up front, but it couldn't be up front because there'd be no way to unbolt it. So now I figured that out. Now with the steering wheel off, I'm going to get the front open to pull it out. At least I think that's what I do. Because the guy I watched with a John Deere 70 did it that way. But maybe this isn't a cover. Maybe it hooks to the part. But I'll figure it out. So, see if that's true. Put one of these back in. Set that move. I'll tap on the other end. I don't have a brass punch. I guess I got a 2x4, so I'll tap on the other end and see what happens. No, it didn't drive it out. I don't know. Okay, when I don't know how to pull this cover off, but I took the 2 bolts off, and tapping from the other end with a block of wood didn't do nothing. And then I come up here and looked, and look, that would have never fit through there anyway. It's got a union here, a geared and a pin. That must be what this wire is. So I'm going to have to get this wire off, remove this pin, and see if I can slide that out that way. And it's not like they put anything welded on here, so you got something to pound on. It's just smooth all the way up. So what am I going to pound on? I don't know. should get me somewhere by taking this off. And then if I don't have to go any further than here, I'll just put those bolts back in over here. Okay, I got the drive pin out of the steering. It's a little worn, but I did it with one of these punches. I think I started it with this one. I mean, you don't want them to get stuck in it. These things are hollow. Then you have to get your punch unstuck out of the pin. All right. I used a couple blocks and jacked up the little weight off the front tires so that I could turn it with no steering wheel. But then I ended up putting the steering wheel back on, as I had to wire brush it and put it on sooner or later, so I could get the pin to stay on straight up, so I could punch it out. And now that it's punched out, I used the wheel that was on there. I've taken it off again now. I used the wheel to pull back on it, and it's just a smooth rod all the way through now. So then I took the wheel off again, because there shouldn't be any tug of war there. I should just be able to slide that right out now, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, finally I can slide this out. Unbelievable how long it can take to take the hood off, at least for a first timer. Coming. I'm sure there'll be something I'll have to use a wire brush in here to get it through this bushing. That's tightening up. I'm going to have to beat the rod back and sand it. Probably have to sand the paint off. No, it's not the paint. There was some rust pits. Well, it was wishful thinking. Now I could just go up there and pull that right out. Well, I've got the wire brush angle grinder set up, and up there to take off some rust. I did see some rust. See if they come out now. Oh yeah. Maybe I can leave it partially in. Nah, I'll take that. There's a spline that was on that end. That came out real easy. Was all greased up, luckily. I gotta put this against some wall where it doesn't get bent. These are my two masks I wear. This one says it's a 3M 7502. Says right in that triangle, 7502. Whether it shows up or not, M7502. I know they don't make those anymore. So when the straps go bad to get a new body, these are replaceable. But to get a new body, I have to look on eBay for somebody that's selling an older one. And this one I use for dust. That's what it says on the cartridge. 3M, I don't know. These are dust cartridges. And this thing here is, oh, it does have a number, M7502. Sounds like the one I just read. I didn't know that. It's the same one? I didn't know that. Huh. But I had two of these. The other one, the straps are so broke, so I think I'm down to one. And kind of got to stay ahead of these or you're stuck without one. Okay, with the steering shaft out of there, you think I could pull up on this? No. All the bolts are out, except that one could be rusted tight. I just can't get it to budge. Of course, I know what it is. So I'm going to put a screwdriver. I'm going to put a screwdriver up here. I tried several things. I actually am still not sure, even having it apart. I'm actually still not sure what I was supposed to take off. I guess I know. Like I said, it's that one bolt way back there. Way back there that's snapped off. That's probably rusted. It's not that. No. I was hoping to take the back here and just kind of walk up with it. Maybe I could get my tire iron. Try putting the tire iron in there. Yeah, if I can get a little peek, get it up at all, I start seeing some other things. But I'm just going to have to keep messing with it until I finally figure out how to get it out of there. Well, I don't know. I thought maybe it might just come out of there. There is the gas tank gusset, rubber gusset. I got the cap off, and it could be that bolt still frozen up there, so I'm going to go to work. So what I can see, I'll show you here. I put a block up under it, right there. That holds it up, so at least got it so it don't keep dropping back down here. That's only 4 inches, but as I got it up, I can see this has to come off. For some reason, this comes through a slot. It's like this is enclosed in the back or something. I don't know why it would be, but like I said, I don't know anything about John Deere, so. See, it looks like there's a floor under here. That's probably the bottom. I thought the gas tanks would stay there when you take the hood off, but I think the gas tank's in the hood? I don't know. But I'm going to come back on here and say I figured it out pretty quick. Well, I got one thing to try, like in the front, where taking the bolts out of the grill went into the main little channel that's on the inside of the tin. That's what was holding the hood in the front. So maybe in the back it's the same, and I see an angle in there, so I'm just going to take that bolt out of it. both sides. See if that lets something loose, because I'm not getting anything loose up here. I guess it's a 3/8 bolt, 9/16 socket. There it goes. Can always get a new flat, but that was up in there on another angle. That was at like an angle. So now we'll see if the hood will move a little. Because I wouldn't get any movement up here. Still nothing. What in the world? I can't believe it. What do I have to do? Take the dash apart to get the hood out? I can't get this hood up. I don't think I'm getting too far into John Deere's. Oh, this will take the hood off. Well, this handle here, I think, is the throttle. I've got the dash out right now. That's the dash I got leaned out here. To get that out, I had to take this big, thick cable. I had to take that big, thick cable right there off. Well, I can see it down in there. So that wouldn't let me pull it back more than a ½ inch. And I kept going, why can't I pull this back? I'm trying to look in here to see where are the spots that are holding on the hood. So, and then I found this. That's why the throttle is stuck. All rusty. So, shoot some WD-40 on there. Shooting on the outside isn't going to do much good. There's a glimpse of the gas tank. Okay, I'm going to put this away. I'm going to see if I can notice what's got to come out to get this hood off. So I'm not seeing nothing right here still. This is that angle. That's that angle right under the flashlight there. That's that angle right there that I took that bolt off that I thought might help, but still the hood will not even budge. Then I thought maybe, that's how I ended up taking this dash out. I thought maybe something was going through the dash holding it. What is holding it? I'll find it out sooner or later here. Probably later. I just noticed something. The gas tank has one mount in the front, and that couldn't ever hold up a gas tank that's wide and long. So it looks like, and I'm almost sure of this, if it's only got that one mount, they're using the hood to hold up the gas tank, unfortunately. So, and yep, there's a bolt there, and there's one way back there in the corner. So there's one there, and on the other side of that mount, back in the corner, way back there, yeah, there's one. And look, up here in the front, there's another one, and over there, another one. I don't know exactly how they're using the hood to bolt that, but I'm going to try taking those 4 out and see what happens. The ones in the back are about even with the D, and the tank ends at the E in Deere, at the at the last of the E's. And the tank looks like it starts just in front of the coil. And that's where that mount is, right above the coil. But I don't know how could that one little thing be a mount? This is getting to be about like taking the hood off a Cub Farmall. They got the gas tank built in the hood. I don't know. I guess it's probably all easier when you know how to do it all, which might be as soon as I take these 4 bolts out, so I'm going to get to it. Okay, I've stood up here and grabbed the front in this corner and that corner and picked it up and tried pulling towards the radiator. I don't know how the gas tank's held up in there, and I don't know if that's anything to do with it not coming out, but there's got to be a bolt up in there in the front by that dashboard, because that's the area that won't move. I've even bent metal trying to pry something, which I don't want to do. There's got to be a bolt up there, and I'm going to go back and look. Well, here's the answer. Underneath they put some kind of a false bottom. That never was the tank. It's a false bottom. And when you pull that down and you look up there, right there, right up there, well, not dark. When you look right up there, that's a, I don't know if I can get it in there. There it is. It's a double nut. They had one nut for the pan and one for the hood bracket. That's actually attached to the hood. And it's above the pan. And the way they got it, you can't get at that without bending this down. I mean, you can't get at it. None of it makes any sense. So, I'm now thinking that front mount I pointed to earlier, it's just that single piece of stock that goes up to the tank. I'll take that one bolt out, and I think the gas tank will come right out with the hood once I have the gas lines unhooked. There's a couple wires here coming. Oh, they're not even hooked up. So I guess I'll just take the gas tank out with the hood. Then I can see what the heck is going on and maybe put it back together where I put the gas tank on first. Otherwise, it's built like a Cub Farmall with the hood, with the gas tank built in the hood. I don't like that. Well, I got the front gas tank mount bolt off. That little sucker, I had to go one way, back, lots of times so I wouldn't snap it. I couldn't get it past a couple quarter turns without it feeling like it was going to break. And I just kept going back and forth. It bolts into that governor. Anyway, now the gas tank can come out with it like a Farmall Cub. And on a Farmall Cub, I always wanted to make it hinge so it would open like a car, even though gas tank's in it. Where I could hinge it back here in the back, and then make it so you could just open it like the hood on a car. But on this, I can't believe that they got the gas tank bolted to the inside of the hood instead of to the mounts that would come off the frame. So here we go. Let's keep lifting. See if it's going to come out now. on another wire up in here somewhere. It's going to the alternator. I'll have to unbolt that.
I mean generator.
Working. The choke rod here. When you follow it up there, and it goes under the hood here. It goes under the hood here, it goes around this double nutted bracket, goes through here. It hooks right here, a little over from the E, with a bracket that doesn't let it out of there unless you cut the bracket. It's hooked to this little thing here that's bent down and stops right here. Am I supposed to knock this thing off the hood? Anyway, I'd have to cut the choke rod to take the tank and the gas tank off. So let's go back to doing these double nuts, which would release the gas tank possibly. I don't know about the other end. Well, let's try these double nuts, and that's what I'm going to do.
I don't know if I get anything from,
Seems a little close.
from taking those off or not.
I'm working right here. Unbolting that double nut. One nut was for the false bottom, and another nut's for the gas tank. Acts like it's a muffler clamp type thing. So let's get that back one. I get this all out, maybe I can figure out how this was all supposed to do it, because nothing makes sense the way it's coming out. The hood wouldn't let loose without, because the hood is hooked to this. Where'd that go? But the hood is hooked to this muffler clamp right there. It's a gas tank bottom clamp that, like a muffler, it has the clamp that goes between the two studs. Comes up and goes, and so some of that's actually hooked to the hood. There's no way I could ever get the hood. There's no way I could get the hood to come up with this gas tank strap in the back. And they don't want you to be able to get at the strap because they put a false bottom in there, covering it up. So probably you're supposed to pull off this sediment bowl. Then probably the false bottom comes out, then you can get at the clamp. Maybe that's what it was. It's supposed to take out sediment bowl. Okay, here it comes. For some reason I didn't take it all the way out. Somehow it came off the end. I don't know why. I'll have to look at this later. So now I can pull it out. Except that choke's still going to be hooked. no, the hood might come up now. Okay, let me lower it back down again. I suppose, however I got it propped, I should lower it back down. I got it propped up on this dashboard stud. No, the tank and the hood are still not releasing. It's still as tight as ever hooked to the gas tank. It's not releasing. So I'm going to just try to take the whole thing off and get it on the ground. Okay, I came up with the fact that the end screws off the choke rod, and I tried to straighten it back out, and I can probably pull it. I can probably pull it through the dash, because the choke rod's here. And it ends there. I took the knob off, so that part will have to slide through the dash. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to have to lift the front. I'm going to have to lift the, see how I got it tilted, and there's that false bottom. And then I looked up here, there's another clamp up in here. There it is. There's another clamp, just like the one that's back here, that holds the gas tank down. So somehow I think I was supposed to, the clamps on the clamps on the gas tank go to the hood. So to take the hood out, I think you have to take all four parts of the clamp off. One on this side, and the one up here, and the one back here, and the one over there. Then maybe you could take the hood off. But for right now, I'm taking the gas tank with it because it hasn't been used for 20 years, and obviously it would have to be looked at anyway. So I'm going to try to, I mean, it's heavy with the gas tank. I've got the gas gauge unhooked, so the gas line's unhooked, so I'm going to try to lift it up above the radiator and pull it ahead 2 feet till the choke rod goes through the dashboard. Can I do it?
I'd want the tank out anyway, so I can see the motor. What good would it do to take the hood off and leave the tank there?
The choke rod doesn't want to slide if you pull it quicker. So here I am up to the front tires, try to pull it straight. Now will the choke rod slide? No. That's too heavy, I can only take it off on the sides. Ah, stupid choke rod. There, now you can see the choke rod attachment area. It's right there. It's right there. That's the part that don't unbolt. It don't unbolt. So unless I take the 90 out of the choke rod or pull it all the way through from the other end, it doesn't unhook. They got it welded to the hood. Well, I'm either going to cut the choke rod or just bend the, you see, if you bend it, it doesn't come through there. If only I had 2 people. And I don't want to poke a hole in the gas tank, but I guess there's no chance of that because of this false bottom. So with the false bottom, I don't think I can poke a hole in the gas tank. Oh, I can get the choke rod to come through if I stand here. So could I just dangle the whole hood and gas tank by the choke rod? Because I'm not going to be on the other side. There goes my paint job on the hood. That's that dumb clamp that was hanging there for the hoses on a loader. I'll just bend it down right now. It's probably scratching the hood a little. Okay, that's out of the way. Whatever it is. A couple inches left. A couple inches left. I lied before. Now 2 inches. There. Choke rods out of there. Gee, there it is, the hood and gas tank. I suppose I better put the gas tank cover back on before all that dirt goes on. Boy, it's really clean. Well, I don't care. I don't want a hood on there when I'm working on an engine, even if it is way up there in here. And probably you could work around it. But I like to learn how to take things apart anyway, but whoever knew it'd be this tough. So let's see how bad I scratched it. It's this clamp that was over here. This thing. This thing. Probably to hold up hoses on a loader. I took off the loader thing, gussets. I should have got that thing out of there. Let's see what it did to it.
It's fine.
Yeah, there's scratches there where that bracket was, but this ain't that pretty anyway. And this tin near the end by the headlights probably got pulled out a little. I don't know if we'll ever bend back in the same. You know how H-Farm old hoods get bent out and they flop around? It's kind of, I know, I was certainly trying on it. But I bent it here, I thought, not down here. Yeah, this side, nothing happened. Nothing really. For all I know, that scratch on the other side was in there. Okay, so for all I know, that scratch was in there. I'm 58, and I was born in 54. So this is a 57. So 54, 55, 56, 57. It's 3 years younger than me. So 68, 67, 66, 65. 65 years old. And there's my other flashlight been on for a half hour. I might as well take these both into the charger and take a break. The hood's off. The gas tank's sitting inside of it. I don't know how you were supposed to take it off, but at least it's out of the way so I can start getting at that intake manifold. From what they say, John Deere's, the engine's down so low, the hood doesn't protect the rain from the engine, so your intake manifold and exhaust manifolds always rust out. And so I need them both. I checked Steinhardt's and And yesterday's tractors, it's somewhere around $280 to $320 for both of them. And that doesn't even include anything to do with doing anything to the engine. So this is definitely expensive. One guy explained to me it's because they don't the aftermarket people don't mass produce very many parts. And somebody has to hire somebody to copy a part and to make so many. Well, that's not really, sure they're mass producing a few, but they're not mass producing them in big numbers, which makes them cheaper. So I guess that's why they cost so much. Never thought of it, but all right, I'm taking a break. Okay, there's the grill and the hood against the wall. Well, we'll have to look at those for probably a couple of weeks. Now I'm going to get off that dumb, it's a, I guess it's a clamp that would have held hoses up or something. I don't know what the stupid thing's there. All I do is run into it and it just scratched the hood when I took it off, so it's gone. I'll use it in my welding metal pile of pieces over by the welder. Maybe they come in handy if they're cutting up for something. Well, there, I got that off, so all the dust and all this crap that was under the hood I got out of there. It was all on the ground. I vacuumed it all up with the shop vac. So now I can get at everything. I can see if it has a hole and which manifold. Try to do that now. Look, a hole. Which manifold is it? Since the exhaust hook's over here, I would think that's the intake manifold. Then there's that hole, and that's just the exhaust pipe, but I thought the exhaust manifold had a hole in it too. Maybe I do only got to order one. I'll bet you I end up putting them both on.